Looking back at the film from the Texas Tech game, what stood out to you about what happened on defense in that one?
Like everything, it's kind of a fourfold thing. First of all, it's just we got to do a better job coaching the guys up, getting them, in the places they need to be. I think, D-line just staying in the gaps, getting ready to go there, dominating in your gap. Linebackers got to fill in the gaps that are left over, and then the DBs got to make sure we get the ball down. So it's kind of a fourfold thing that we really work to clean up this week, and look forward to going out and showing that on Saturday.
DK, you coached in the NFL, you coached in college ball. What did you know about Kansas State KU rivalry before coming last year? And is there a difference in NFL rivalries and college rivalries for you?
No, I mean, you play, the Eagles and the Cowboys, or Eagles and Commanders, about to say the Redskins, but Commanders, Eagles, Giants, like those are some hated rivalries there. You get some stuff thrown at you, those games. So, but these are great rivalries. There's nothing like college football rivalries, though. Like, college football rivalries are the best, I think. Got a chance when I was at Iowa State to be a part of Farmageddon. Mm-hmm. And, that was a great rivalry that we played in there and actually played against Iowa. But I know this one is big, being that interstate rivalry, just the records the way they are, the fan bases the way they are. I know this is a special one. So I would say the college rivalries are a lot better than the NFL rivalries.
Making things simple in order to make them easy for your defensive players to play fast was a big emphasis of yours in the offseason. How do you feel like, now that we're at about the halfway point, how do you feel like that's gone so far?
I think it's going well. I think the guys have communicated, kind of done what they're supposed to do with that. You'll have some lapses, but I think that's all around college football. But we just got to clean up those little lapses that we have that end up being explosive plays for us. Because when we're on, we play really good and we stop people. We get 3 and outs, different things like that. It's just those lapses that we have that we got to continue to clean up with the guys, some young guys we have and some new guys that we have.
In terms of K-State and Avery, what have you seen from him in terms of the improvement over the course of his time as a starter?
Really just the way he throws the football. I mean, and the decisions he's making, those are some fast decisions that he's making with the football. He's getting a lot better at reading the defenses and making quick decisions. And, and honestly, he's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the nation. I mean, I know we got one here, but he's one of them. I mean, he can beat you with his arms and feet. And I think that's a special combination that he has that makes him really, really dangerous.
What separates him from just being a dual threat guy to being one of the best?
Like I said, I think it's the decision making, that he's really stepped up and done a better job on. Like I said, he gets the ball out of his hands really quick. There's not a lot of, film I watch, there's not a lot of defenses that confuse them to make him hold the ball. Like, when he makes the decision up to throw, he can do it. He can make all the throws. He's throwing deep 20-yard outs. He's throwing comebacks at 15 yards to the other numbers over there. Like, his arm strength and his decision making is really improved. And when you add that with a guy who can run as fast as he can, that becomes a real issue for any defense, and it's a big challenge for us this week.
DK, what do you see from Kansas State's offensive line?
They're good. They're gelling together. You can tell that they started the year off with some new guys, and as always, it takes a couple games to kind of gel, but I think now they're kind of hitting their stride. Their center is really special. Both their tackles are good, and their guards can move people, and so you can just tell that they're kind of becoming a cohesive unit there. And, that's good for them, and it's a good challenge for us coming up this Saturday.
Generally speaking, what looks better about K-State over the last few games as opposed to how they started the year?
Well, it's a combination of a lot of things, probably. I don't get a chance to watch their defense a whole bunch, but I imagine they're playing a little better defense, which always helps. They're taking care of the ball. Their special teams is always special. And then on the offensive side, to which I can speak to, they're running the ball really well right now. Their quarterback is starting to use his legs a little more than he did to start the year. And like I said, he's throwing a lot of great balls, and he doesn't have a lot of interceptions. I think there's like 3 on the year that he has, so he's not really turning that ball over, which always gives you a chance to be competitive and win games. And they stay in games and they win them at the end. So that's kind of been their formula for years, and they've kind of perfected that.
DK, I'm curious, when you go over the film, I know you guys have been in some 3-man, 4-man down, even some 5-man looks. Is there one that you think you've done better than the other?
I think they've all had their good things to them, and their things that we can continue to tweak and work on. I think they've all been successful. Some of the stuff has allowed us to put pressure on guys, which is, our sack numbers are pretty good. So that's kind of helped us there. Some of the 4-man front, kind of helps us with some of the run game stuff. The 3-down stuff just allows you to bring different guys from a lot of different areas, which we, kind of used in there a little bit. So I think it's a little bit of all of it that, has kind of been good, and some things that, over this bye week we had a chance to self-scout and kind of see how we can improve in those areas also, which has been good.
When you have a bye week, how much of it is, sort of looking back at the fundamentals, self-scouting, and how much of it is preparing for your next opponent?
Yeah, the interesting part about this open week was the fact that K-State had an open week too, so you kind of had all the film in the bank ready to go. But the beginning part of the week was really just some self-reflection on us, worrying about us and getting better, at the things we need to get better on from the last game. And then you kind of switch gears and kind of getting to working on K-State and getting ready to go out and try to compete and win this game here.
You change anything preparation-wise because of the fact that K-State was on a bye also, or anything like that?
No, but just the simple fact you get to get started earlier. It's not like it's going to be another tape getting in there and some new information getting in there, the next week. All the information and all the tape was already in there. So you're able to get started a little quicker and spend that week and the weekend and just a lot of time just trying to see where you can get better and kind of attack these guys and where you think they're going to attack you at. So it was a big benefit, but they had the same benefit also of, 2 weeks of getting ready for us. So I'm excited to see how our guys come out and play. I'm excited.
What were some of the main points of emphasis for you guys on defense during that bye week?
Yeah, naturally, it's just us fixing some of the things that we did during the the last game that we played. Some of those were self-inflicted wounds that we need to clean up. We can't have those. It's hard enough to win games, but you can't beat yourself. And we did that during that game. And then some of it was continue to just the basics of communication, of tackling, of pursuit. Just the hallmarks of kind of what we do. We just want to continue just to double down on those as we go down this final stretch of the season.
Was there anything that surprised you going back and doing the self-scout that maybe you didn't expect to see?
One thing that always shows up in the self-scout that, you sometimes miss is just how guys are playing, who's playing well, who needs to improve. I think sometimes when you're grading a film, you don't always get to see that as a totality. But I think when you kind of slow it down and look at the whole group, you kind of see like, wow, this guy's playing pretty well. Maybe we can up his reps a little bit, or hey, these are some areas we can clean up this guy here. I think that's the biggest thing that I really like about these open weeks is that you really get to see kind of that whole picture, of your team, of your defense, and who's doing what, who's kind of good at what, and where you can tweak some things and different things like that.
Who were some of those guys that you thought, man, they're having a really good first half of the season?
There's been a lot of guys that we have that I've really been impressed with. And even, when you get these open weeks, you get some guys in practice, some young guys that you're kind of like, hey, man, maybe it's time, to kind of get this, guy going a little bit. So we got some young linebackers that, you might see, kind of getting in there in special teams and different things like that. So that's the exciting thing about that. You've been really happy with our seniors up front. I think DJ's playing really well. Keenan's playing really well up front for us. Leroy's playing well. Fink, is doing a good job for us. There, our linebackers, I know we've been kind of rotating guys in and out there because of health, but I think they've been playing well. And then you look on the back end, Jay Todd's, having a special year right now, and I think sometimes that kind of gets lost. Just like I said, you're just going through the flow of the season. You kind of lose track of a young man who's really playing some really good football for us. Taylor Davis is another guy who's quietly having a good year for us. And that's kind of just some guys off the top of the head. But like I said, when you go through a bye week, you kind of look and those guys kind of stick out on film for you, which is interesting.
When you're coaching zone defense and you guys run quite a few different zone looks, and you have a team that really force feeds the tight end the way that K-State does, what does that change about your reads or maybe the way you coach it that week?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing is making guys aware, where that guy is, because, in football nowadays, not everybody uses the tight end the way that K-State does. They do a heck of a job with it, and they have for years. They've had NFL tight ends after NFL tight ends. So, you just got to make guys aware that when you're in that zone, you can't be standing from you to me away. You have to get connected to him. That's where the quarterback's going. That's a security blanket, and it should be. So I think that type of awareness, and then you're going to have to play some man and try to man them up and, get body on body and be ready to go. When you do that, though, the one thing is, got a lot of guys with their back turned with a quarterback who can run. So you got to pick your spots of where you do that. And then, like I said, with the zone, those guys are going to have to get connected quick. You just can't stand and guard turf.
Anything else for Coach McDonald? Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, DK.